Hello everyone and welcome back to the Mash and Drum Whiskey Room. My name is Jason C, and if you're a subscriber, thanks so much for watching again and for your support. If you're new to the channel and looking for the latest in whiskey and bourbon news and reviews, you have found the right place, so hit that subscribe button below and hit that bell notification so you know when I'm releasing a new video. Welcome to the third episode in my special series called Double Bass, where you, the viewers, get to pick two great whiskeys to put head to head to see which one comes out on top. So after the first two episodes having some great bourbon matchups, today we have a rye matchup that was voted on by Rebecca Page to put Wild Turkey 101 Rye versus Knob Creek Rye. These are two bottles I've had some experience with, but I don't really sip too often. Since I don't sip these often, I've decided to add a twist to this episode, as I will sip both of these blind. But before we jump into it, let's find out a little bit more about our two contenders. Bottled at the same proof as the standard Knob Creek bourbon, Knob Creek Rye is the only standard ongoing rye product in Jim Beam's small batch collection. Beam doesn't disclose its mash bill, but it's believed Knob Creek Rye is barely legal rye at just over 51% rye. The rye is patiently aged with a blend of up to 9 years old. Bottled at 100 proof, this is not only a solid introduction to the spicy and herbal world of rye, it's also a great base for classic cocktails. Wild Turkey has been making rye since before the rye renaissance really began, starting sometime in the 1980s, using a barely legal mash bill as well of 51% rye, 37% corn, and 12% malted barley. Around 2012, when bartending morphed into mixology and birthed a renewed customer desire for rye whiskey, Wild Turkey's 101 proof rye disappeared from shelves and forced the company to promote an 81 proof version. In 2017, Wild Turkey 101 Kentucky Straight Rye reappeared, and this is bottled at 101 proof and aged approximately 4 to 6 years. So for those of you that haven't watched one of my double bass matchups, I will give a score from 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest, in 4 different categories: nose, palate, finish, and consistency. The rye with the highest total score at the end of the matchup wins. Now let's get started. So as I mentioned, I'll be doing this one blind since these are two whiskeys I don't sip that often, and I'm going to be keeping that rule going forward. If two whiskeys I'm putting head to head I don't have a lot of experience with, I'm definitely going to put them blind just to get my most honest opinion for you guys. They're both very affordable and a good proof point. This is being 100, this being 101. I couldn't wait to put these head to head once it got suggested to do so. So let's get started. All right, guys, so I'm going to mix these up one more time. Not really sure what's in what. I have a label on the bottom of the glass that tells me what's what. Let's keep these here. I'm going to say that this is A and this is B. Keep an eye on the scoreboard as we go through the categories and see which one comes out on top. So let's go to the nose on letter A here. So this one on the nose has a ton of sweetness and not getting a huge rye spice note. Definitely get a little spark of like that mintiness that you get from a nice rye. Good proof point, not overpowering. Getting a ton of citrus here. There's a lot of maybe orange and lemon zest going on, which is something I do pick up in a good rye. Man, I think I'm getting more lemon. I'm just getting a ton of lemon in here, almost like fresh lemon peel. But definitely that caramel, some oak is coming through. And I love that mintiness that this one's bringing. Really good nose on letter A here. Let's go to letter B. So this one is coming off as more of a little bit deeper, darker, richer. A little more flavor, but I'm not getting that big citrus and rye burst here. This one is almost coming off as a bourbon on the nose. Definitely some caramel, some vanillas in here. There is a slight citrus note to it. This one is definitely coming off more as an orange note, like a cinnamon, orange, almost like an orange spiciness. When you compare them both, this one is coming off as more traditional rye, whereas this one is a little bit more rounded, coming off as a little bit sweeter on the nose. Man, this one's going to be tough to score. All right, let me think about it a sec. All right, guys, so my scores for nose are as follows. For letter A here, I'm going to give this one a 3. The nose here it's sweet, it's minty, it's not really overly complex. It's got a lot of citrus flavor to it, some lemon, lemon zest, some oak flavor in there. Not overly complex. I'm going to give this one a 4. I think this one has just a little bit more of a burst of flavor, a little bit more rounded, some oak sweetness to it. But this one is a little bit more of a rye spice, whereas this one, there's some rye spice in there, but it's just coming across as a little bit more sweet. But the flavor in here, it just seems more rounded than I'm getting on the nose. So I'm gonna give this one a 4 and this one a 3. All right, let's go to the next category, which is palate. Here we go. Cheers. Oh, that citrus note is really translating to the palate as well. Ooh, really nice spice. That one's very spicy, actually, for the first sip. Probably because it's my first sip, but really nice. Again, really good sweet oak flavor, good citrus notes. You're getting a lot of rye spice. Very mouth coating, too. I really like it on the palate. Really good. It's kind of sticking around. Let's go in for another sip here. All right, second sip. Now more traditional rye spice flavors coming in there. You're getting a spearminty cinnamon orange note that's coming through. Really nice. The first sip was definitely better. This one has gotten a little bit more subdued on the second sip, but that pepperiness and that cinnamon and that rye minty almost a spice kick is really sticking around the palate. It's kind of hanging around the sides of my tongue here. That one's really enticing me to drink more of it, so let's go for one more sip here. That one is actually getting a little bit sweeter too as you sip on it. The rye spice is still there. Yeah, I like that one. If you like citrusy, more citrus-forward ryes, that one's really good. I like that one a lot. All right, let me take a sip of water. All right, let's go to letter B over here on the palate and see what we get. Cheers. That one was caramel and licorice. I know a lot of people do get some licorice notes on a rye, but I got a really big licorice burst right there on that first sip. Definitely a little bit more. This one is drinking a little bit more smooth than this one. This one is coming across a little bit more leveled out, not as spiky as this one. Let's see what we get on the second sip. All right. Second sip, it came in a lot more peppery there. Ooh, that's nice on the palate. Definitely has some really nice, well-rounded rye notes. Got some spearmint, some licorice in there. But it's got another level of sweetness, too, to kind of round it out. That really good caramel, vanilla sweetness also coming through. Maybe a little bit of a chocolate note there, too, I think I'm getting. That's nice. All right, one more sip. Here we go. Third sip was a little less impressive there, but still good coating on the palate. Definitely get a little bit of a chocolate licorice note there. Good rye spice. This one's going to be tough. They both offer something different in terms of ryes, and we'll talk about that. Let me get to my scoring first. Okay, so for letter A here, I'm going to give this one a 4. Just because I really like the mouthfeel it gives you. I love the spikiness, that peppery, that super burst of minty and an orange spice that you're getting in here. Really like it. It's got a good proof to it. It really coats the palate well. It definitely sticks around. Really like it a lot. I'm going to give this one here also a 4, but it's definitely a different experience. This one, whatever's in this glass, is not as citrus forward. In fact, it's a little bit more licorice forward and bringing a little bit of hint of chocolate. It's definitely sweeter. It's not offering that spiciness that I like on a good rye that letter A here is doing, but I really can appreciate those other different flavors here. Both of them are offering really good mouthfeels. They both kind of stick around. I think letter A here sticks around a little bit more, but letter B here is bringing a little bit more of a complex flavor profile. All right, it's time for our next category. Let's talk about the finish. Here we go. Let's start with this one. Here we go. I really like the finish on this one. This one is bringing just pure orange cinnamon spice, and it sticks around as it's going down. Kind of lingers a little bit. It's really, really nice. That one's really good on the finish. Let's go for another sip. Yeah, it's funny. Like, the thing about A is that as you sip on it, the flavors do get sweeter, and it that orange and that citrus and that lemon really do come through. But the finish is what kind of just stays, and that rye pepperiness is just really sticking around. I really like that one a lot. All right, let's go to letter B and test the finish on this one. Here we go. Cheers. Man, see, the finish on this one is a lot more subdued. It's not as peppery. It's not as spicy. It's definitely a lot smoother, and some people like that. But I like kind of feeling that pepperiness to it. Let's go in for one more sip, because last time on the second sip that I had, I got the finish more. Let's see if it happens again. Cheers. Oh yeah, see, the finish now came through on the second sip. But it's sweeter. It's definitely more rounded. There's some nice vanilla and oak character you're getting in there too. The pepperiness is sticking around. It's just not as spiky as letter A here. But it's a really nice finish. Let's go for one more sip here. Yeah, whatever B is, the finish on it really kind of goes away quickly. It's not overly complex. It kind of just stays around. You definitely get a little bit of a licorice note. It's a little peppery, but it doesn't linger as much as this one does. You know, I kind of like that pepperiness, the spikiness, and the way it kind of sticks from the side of your mouth all the way to the back on this one. Whereas this one, it's super sweet up front, and then as it goes back, it kind of just goes away a little bit. So, all right, I think I have my scores. Let me write them down real quick. All right, guys, it's time to score the finish. I'm going to start with letter A here. I'm going to give this one a 4. The finish on this one is actually really, really nice. It sticks around. It's long. It's warming. That pepperiness kind of sticks around from the sides of your tongue, and then it kind of works its way back down, and it just stays. That pepperiness and that orange spice just really hangs around, and it kind of makes you, it just stays like tingling on the back of your throat there. It makes you want to keep drinking more. So I'm going to give this one a 4. This one, I'm going to give this one a 3. The finish on this one just came in a little bit flat. The last couple sips I had, first of all, it took me the second sip to really get a finish. And then the third one, even though I kind of tasted a little bit more, it wasn't nearly as long as the one in glass A. So I'm going to give this one a 3 and this one a 4 on finish. All right, guys, so it's time for our last category, and that's consistency. That is from sip to sip, from beginning to end. Does it stay consistent enough to make the grade? So let's go in for letter A and see what we get here. Let's see if it tastes the same as it did in my first couple sips. That sip, it's still bringing the orange spice. It's still bringing the oak flavor. Really nice oak there. Really nice oak influence. Some caramel influence in there. Still getting that nice lemon zest. Really good finish here. Let's go in for one more sip. Man, that's getting more citrusy as I sip on it. But in a good way. I'm not going to hold that against it. It's getting more almost lemony, pepperminty. But again, that tingliness that's just kind of sticking to the sides of my tongue there and then working its way down, all staying very consistent. This one's very, very consistent so far. So really liking that one. All right, let's go to letter B and see what we get. Yeah, that one's staying consistent too. It's still bringing that nice licorice flavor. It's still bringing the caramel, vanilla sweetness. Get a good punch of oak in there too. Man, if the finish was just a little bit longer on that one. Let's go for another sip. Here we go. All right, next sip. All those flavors, all that sweetness is really coming through nicely. Both of these are pretty consistent. The only thing that this is losing out a little bit to in letter B here is the finish. The finish is just, as you keep sipping on it, just kind of goes away. Let me go for one more sip here. Yeah, I mean, you're still getting that licorice flavor. You're still getting that caramel flavor. Up front and mid-palate, letter B is very consistent. Just on the finish is where it loses out a little bit. It loses that pepperiness and it loses that, I don't know, it loses that rye spice that I love, that minty burst that I really like to get on the end of a really good rye. So, all right, let's get to scoring these. All right, guys, so to score consistency, I'm going to give letter A here a 4. The consistency in this glass, it's really coming through. You're getting all those spiky, spearminty notes. It's staying true from sip to sip. It actually tastes pretty much the same from my first sip into all the way to my last sips that I just had. It's really consistent. Orange, spice, oak, some spearminty, pepperiness. It's all sticking around. It's lingering, still getting a nice finish, staying very, very consistent from sip to sip. Really like A. B, I'm going to give this one a 3. I just wish it had a little bit more of a finish on it. But the upfront flavors, the licorice, the little bit of a chocolate note, the vanilla, the caramel, it's really, really good on the front of the palate, but it just kind of goes flat as you keep sipping on it. It stays sweet, but the finish on, I just wish there was a longer, lingering finish to this one. But both are really great ryes. All right, guys, so as you can see on the scoreboard, we have letter A coming in with a final score of 15 points, and letter B coming in with a score of 14 points. So letter A takes it by 1 point, but both of these offer, I think, something a little bit different for rye enthusiasts. If you like a good rye whiskey that's affordable, these can offer some different flavor profiles, and I'm really glad you guys were here to watch it. So I hope I can help you in your future rye whiskey purchases. So let's find out what the winning dram was, and it is, this says KC. This is the Knob Creek. Wow, Knob Creek takes it 15-14 over the Wild Turkey 101. Wow, that's crazy. I'm going to switch these up here. There it is. All right. But the Knob Creek here, I think, just really won because of that finish. Both of them offer some great flavor profiles. And if you were kind of staring at these on the shelf, wondering which one to get, I hope I kind of helped you in making that choice a little bit based on what I was able to taste. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching this episode of Double Bass on the Master Drum Whiskey Room. Keep those suggestions coming. The next episode, we're going to be putting 2 scotches head-to-head. Got some amazing suggestions from you guys out there, so stay tuned for that. If you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button below. Please hit that like button. If you haven't yet, find me on Instagram and find me on Twitter. Let me know what you think of these 2, any other suggestions you have to put head-to-head. And as I always say, it is not about the whiskey, it is the people you share it with. So cheers, and I will see you next time on Double Bass. Take care.